Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. It's now time for us to look at what the papers are reporting. The Nation newspaper is the first with the banner headline: Senators, Reps rise against terrorism, banditry, killings, kidnapping, terrorism to attract death penalty with concerted efforts will defeat insurgency, says General Musa. That's the new Minister of Defense. This Nigeria is next. No excuses for failure. Senate charges new Defense Minister. We can't fight terrorism with outdated tools, says Musa, as lawmakers confirm him. Next is the Leadership newspaper. New Defense Minister says no negotiation with terrorists. Akpabio confirms intense U.S. pressure on Nigeria as Senate clears Musa. Blueprint newspaper also speaks to the Defense Ministry, saying, let's stop negotiating with terrorists, ban illegal mining. Vows probe of General Uba's killing, troops withdraw from MAGA school, NEC approves 100 billion naira for security agencies training institutions. Next is the Daily Times newspaper. Defense Minister Musa confirmed the probe death of General Uba and the withdrawal of security from Kebbi School. The Hope newspaper, NEC, that's National Executive Council, approves 100 billion naira for police, other security training schools. Council also okays 2.6 billion naira consultancy fee for rehabilitation project. Chatima urges governors to prioritize results-driven governance. Next is Nigeria News Direct. NEC approves 100 billion naira for security training institutions, backs 185 billion naira payment to gas producers. Next is the Punch newspaper. Abduction crisis. National Assembly asks federal government to name terrorism financiers. Lawmakers demand guards for schools, worship halls. New Defense Minister probes Kebbi kidnap. Army general's death. And last but not least is the Platform Times. Border crisis. Reps order deployment of drones, biometric surveillance. Lawmakers push drones, AI, satellites for border control. Demand stricter cashless regime, naming prosecution of terror financiers. I think all the papers actually
what happened to our spot
this morning. Well, I think it's only paving the way for us to talk more about the insecurity happening in Nigeria, which is really on the front burner. So I'll be doing this with my colleagues, Etoma, Ria, Olamide. It's a full house today, and it's really going to be packed full, so much. So let's look at the Nation newspaper saying, Senators, Reps rise against terrorism, banditry, killings. And then yesterday we saw the confirmation of former Chief of Defense Staff, now Minister of Defense, as confirmed by the Senate. So he's saying that he's going to be doing a lot. Kidnapping, terrorism to attract death penalty. Etoma.
Yeah, we just finished talking about that, and I believe all of us on the table think that yes, that's the right way to go. It should not just be rhetorics anymore. Let's see some action. Let's get the first one as an example to the rest that should know that the federal government is serious about this. So you get the first person and you give the full capital punishment as prescribed by the law, and it will act as a deterrent.
Absolutely. If you look at this Nigeria, Ria, the Senate are telling the new defense minister no excuses for failure. They told him that there's so much to be done.
He has a whole lot to be done, Ibrahim. I was watching him yesterday. He's made a lot of bold statements, but the thing is that we do not want to hear, I will. We want to see it being done. He is a person that, has over 30 years of military service. So I'm expecting that he's coming with some kind of force to eradicate this insecurity happening in Nigeria. I need him to understand that at this point, Nigerians believe that talk is cheap. So whatever you keep saying, as long as more people are dying, we do not see, it happening. So I'm hoping that he'll be able to crop out the insecurity. We're talking about calling names. I hope that him being in power, he will be one of the people to say, let's call out the names of the people doing it. Because Ibrahim, I feel like once we start calling the names, if you call name A, I tell you this thing will be able to be eradicated, because these people feel powerful because they know them, but they can't call their names. Why is the reason why we cannot call the names of these people? So I'm hoping that he puts a lot into place, but most importantly, what he needs to face and tackle is the insecurity. We do not want to wake up to more people dying. In the north, our girls cannot go to school. This is a Nigeria where education is very, very important. So there's a lot of work on on his hands, and
Right.
he needs to understand that talk is cheap. Christopher Musa, we expect you to do a lot. Nigerians are really going through a lot in terms of terrorism and banditry. People are afraid to travel. It's Christmas, and I speak to my people abroad, and they're telling me that, oh, I'm scared, I cannot go by road. And it's not supposed to be like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So if you look at Leadership newspaper, Olamide, new defense minister says no negotiation with terrorists. And this is a time where people talk about kinetic and non-kinetic approach. So I think they kind of like hide under the non-kinetic approach to say, yeah, one way or the other, we need to talk to them. But in reality, if you look at the soldiers of this world, the armies of this world, the US, Israel, etc., they also have one way or the other to negotiate with their enemies in order to save their own people. And at the end of the day, they go back there and bomb them. And we've seen Nigerian military also doing the same. That it's no longer honeymoon for defense minister.
Yes, so I said it yesterday, there's not going to be a honeymoon period. I saw one member of the House of Representatives tell him, if you don't deliver for us in 6 months, we will order your dismissal. And it's so much pressure to put on one man alone. But I do commend the fact that General Christopher Musa, he made a big emphasis on community engagement, safe schools protection, and interagency collaboration, which means that he understands that Nigeria is past the point where we can rely on firepower alone. We need a collateral and cooperative strategic approach. But before we even enter the meanders or meander through the issue of kinetic or non-kinetic approach, like we said earlier on, before we even begin to negotiate with these terrorists, who is the head of this Hydra-headed power? That is the first question. We had a security expert yesterday.
By asking who is the head, you're asking who are the sponsors.
Exactly.
Yeah, who are the sponsors?
He said we must bring the security expert yesterday, we must bring down the terrorists at the center of gravity. So that is the first thing that we must address. All this strategy, it's all fine and good, but who is the
It all
head?
looks good when they're speaking about it, but we need to see it implemented. That's going to be the most important thing.
The parliamentarian that says if you don't show results in 6 months, we're going to sack you, it just shows a little bit of ignorance in what kind of work Musa has to do. He says with concerted effort, everybody, like you said, all of us, we have to put these things together. Somebody was saying the other day, in fact, I watched it when a Nigerian soldier was saying that the kind of weapons these guys use are 10 times more sophisticated than ours. So all these things have to be put into consideration. That Musa has the will to do the job, I think so.
Yeah.
Does he have does he enjoy the political will to ensure his success? I think he does.
As a comment, yesterday when General Christopher Musa was talking, he said that it is a lie for any soldier to say that they saw the terrorists and they were waiting for orders to strike or to defeat the terrorists. That's absolute lie, because he had led Operation Harden Kai. He has also led commanded different troops and all of that. So he said that as long as you are deployed, you have been briefed. The reason you are deployed is to go do the job. So when you get to the front line and then you are asking for order to strike, then that's a lie. So it means that some of these things that we hear, from the theater of war, one way or the other, and that is to say that he needs to do so much to also boost the morale.
I was going to go
soldiers.
there. For him to even make that statement, that is also a big indictment, because right now, what do I know to believe? If they say something tomorrow, will I believe that they're lying or not? And that's why I'm saying that it would take a whole lot for Nigeria to even believe in the military and the police. I said it the other day, because oftentimes we've lost hope, and this is one of the reasons why we've lost hope. So they gave us information. Apparently, the information was inaccurate. So tomorrow when you say another thing, how do you want people to believe? But for me, I understand the frustration why someone was telling him 6 months. You remember the other day, I also said something like that. Ibrahim, people are dying day in, day out. We do not have time. So these are the reasons why people will tell you that in 6 months, even if you've not totally eradicated insecurity, but let's see something. Let our girls in the north be able to go to school. Let people be able to walk freely without being afraid that they will be kidnapped or being afraid that.
Even if it's not totally eradicated.
Exactly. At least let's get somewhere with it.
And I just hope that, this pressure, while he is, he occupies very big shoes right now, and a big job is being hoisted on his shoulders. We must remember that we cannot abdicate our own responsibilities of leadership to one man. The House of Representatives, your job is to put policy in place to make sure that these terrorists are vanquished. To say if you don't deliver, when the policy starts with you, you are the foundation of any work that General Christopher Musa is going to do.
Implementing is another thing.
Yes.
Right. So if you look at the Daily Times, it's saying Defense Minister Musa confirmed to probe death of General Uba, withdrawal of security from Kebbi School. Two things here. We saw how gruesomely they murdered General Musa Uba the Brigadier General who was killed, by ISWAP, and together with Boko Haram, etc. And then there is another allegation made by the Kebbi State Governor that military, the soldiers were withdrawn 30 minutes before the enemies of this country, strike. So what exactly do you think, how exactly do you think is going to go through, navigate this?
If I tell you I know how he's going to achieve that, I will be telling a white lie on national television.
At least the whole lie is white. It is not black.
I don't want to do that. But what I can say is that if he succeeds in getting the killers of General Uba, and if he succeeds also in getting the person that called out those soldiers from that school, he would have done a lot to get Nigerians to trust the military. And I think that is what he is pursuing. Trust deficit in our institutions, in our government, and so on, is what is slowing down a lot of things in Nigeria. And institutions, heads of institutions, should start deliberately doing things to win back the trust of the people, because like it or not, if you have the trust of the people, your job is much, much easier.
So if you look at the Hope newspaper, we have NEC 100 billion naira for police, other security training schools. Council also said okays 2.6 billion naira for consultancy fee for rehabilitation. So the National Executive Council meeting had a meeting yesterday, led by the Enugu, not led, but then the Enugu State governor.
Presided.
That's, what do you call it?
I said he presided over it.
Yeah, presided over it. And then even the vice president also was in attendance. And then they pledged, they've approved 100 billion naira for police and other training schools, because it led the committee that went around to check all of these facilities and say, we need to do this. And this is coming against on the back of the heels of the president giving the marching order, declaring states of emergency on insecurity and all of that. They will also be spending 2.6 billion naira, that's 102.6 billion naira, to revitalize the police institution.
Ibrahim, when I hear stories like this, I am excited, but then again, I'm thinking, we've heard things like this. These monies have been approved. This is a lot of monies you're calling, but at the end of the day, does it get to the people? When we speak about our police force, we expect them to do so much. We expect them to fight for us, but how do we treat them? Oftentimes, we've seen some of them even come out to cry for pension. The other day, I was speaking about it. I'm saying that we said that we want, our police to do the very best. We want them to be out there to protect us, but how are we really taking care of them? How is their welfare? So when all these monies are being said that they want to put these monies, but I'm just hoping that they finally get the money for the welfare of the police officer, for the places that they are. We say we want to be patriotic. Yes, you can be patriotic. I believe that. But sometimes when your stomach is hungry, you tend to think about other things. Let's be realistic here. Let's be realistic here. So I think when it comes to our police force, there's a whole lot we need to do. Even with the new ones that we are recruiting, let's not make it be like the ones of before, the way we treat them. There's a whole lot we need to push into that. And I'm hoping that these monies will get to them. Not that we hear the stories, we report the stories, but at the end of the day, the money will pass somewhere else.
Olamide, the Nigerian News Direct also speaks to the same story, approval of 100 billion naira for security training institutions. What say you?
I think there should be a complete overhaul of our security architecture, from the police to the military, even down to our security guards on a day-to-day basis. It's very, very important that we unlearn and relearn our security tactics, because clearly our current strategy is failing us deeply.
Absolutely.
Sorry, can I just... Mr. President gave the order that 50,000 more policemen should be employed, and withdrew policemen from VIPs. That means NSCDC and other people need training, very fast training, to fill that gap. NYSC orientation camps were identified as possible training grounds. With what we have in NYSC training grounds, it's not adequate to train police.
Because they are not to train paramilitary.
Yes. So the 100 billion is set aside for those kind of facilities. As Ria said, we hope it actually, they use the money
for the right thing.
That's right.
Because we need these officers trained very fast.
Absolutely. So it's
our
job.
We don't even have time again. That's the thing. When we talk about insecurity, there's no time.
Yeah, it's our job to actually follow the money as soon as this is still subject to approval by the president. So see how far it goes. Now, the Platform Times saying, because if you look at the Punch, it's talking about, National Assembly asked the government to name terrorism financiers.
Which should be done, which should happen.
Yeah, we talked about that a little earlier. So if you look at Platform Times, it's saying border crisis, reps order deployment of drones, biometric surveillance, and also demand stricter cashless regime, naming prosecution of terror financiers. I think that's also embedded in that.
Yeah.
So the new defense minister is saying that we cannot prosecute this war against terror using this current ammunition that we have. So we need to buy sophisticated weapons.
Yeah.
So he's going to be in the front line negotiating these and also getting us, new weapons. So the federal government has a whole lot of budgeting to do, even though this budget for security is one of the largest Nigeria's ever had. But they have to do more.
And you know that when that budget is done, let it go where it's supposed to go to. This statement he made, oftentimes we see how porous our borders is. I feel like we're waiting for something to happen before we say, oh, let's tighten our borders. But our borders need to be tightened steadily, because when they are not tightened, lives and properties of people will be lost. I think that artificial intelligence, this is where it comes in. The other day we spoke about drones. We cannot do it all alone without technology. It's not possible. We're fighting something that these people are coming with a force.
Right.
We need to come with a stronger force to make sure that we are able to get them and just put them where they belong.
Olamide, as a comment, you also mentioned something about data.
Yes.
That we have to ensure that the problem we have is when you have someone committing crime in the north, now come down south, someone committing crime down south, going up north, and then we are not able to track this person. So we also need to, interagency collaboration to ensure that we have intelligence and credible data.
And General Christopher Musa did mention that yesterday in regards to tech. He gave us some insight. He said one drone missile, launch missile, costs about 150 million naira. Or is it dollars or is it naira? I don't know. But he said that once you shoot it once, that's it. So you better aim and you better not miss. You better aim, because that is expensive.
There is no accidental discharge.
Exactly. But like you rightly said, we have to go tech for tech with these terrorists. If not, we have our troops out there blindly fighting against adversaries who are innovating faster than we can keep up with.
And I feel like, Olamide, it's time for us to use technology.
That's
we
right.
have it. Why can't we use it?
It's got to go now. Fighting insecurity is serious business.
I mean, like, we can talk about this for the whole day, honestly.
Yeah. All right, that's about it for the newspapers up for review. Coming up on TVC.